Seriously, who is this for? That is such a good question. Who is that for? Dude, this is rough, man. This is so rough. Dude, the filters are crazy.
Doesn't Brianna look like skull emoji, or am I wrong?
Yeah, Brianna would be like, yeah. I can't do the skeletal laugh. It's just like a manipulation tactic. It's not like she's actually got like a good, compelling argument. It's just like a pure manipulation tactic. I'm pointing out that Brianna Wu, no matter how much she tries to be a pick-me, no one's ever gonna like her. You can't figure that one out? That's really baffling stuff. That's concerning. Chud totally watches that podcast. Probably. I think Chud enjoys content like this. Google old men kissing on stream. What? What are you even trying there, Mad Joe? What do you think you're trying? Now we're going to watch the Dollcast review by McMad. Obviously, as I said, McMad is a FTM Brianna Wu hater, okay? And has done a video reviewing Brianna Wu's podcast. So this is T-on-T violence. Epic T-on-T violence. We love to see it. We love when minority groups attack themselves. Well, I think they're different minority groups, really. I don't think the FTMs and MTFs like being grouped in with each other, to be honest. They hate each other. But, anyway, let's take a look. Let's see what we think.
For the sake of disclosing any bias I may have on the topic of Brianna Wu, I feel obliged to give a quick TLDR of my negative experience with her. Brianna and I got into an argument once on X, which led her to messaging me with a funny-sounding threat.
Don't call trans women men and we're cool, but start some public with me, and we're gonna get into some
I am wearing the black version of your shirt and I'd how I feel about it.
It's not a shirt. It's actually it's a jumper. I just throw on a jumper because I couldn't be. I just literally could not be fine when I was waking up. So.
Despite it being hilarious, I had no reason to take it as anything but a threat. Later on, it came out that she was using very unfeminist and immature language about me in a group chat.
Super female-coded behavior. The fact that he's been about it days later and acting like a little bitch. I actually didn't even, I didn't even buy this jumper. I actually stole this jumper, kind of. I found this jumper. I found this jumper. I commandeered it from a I was in a bar. It was a members only bar that someone I was working with got us into, and someone had left like a bunch of their stuff on this chair, and they had left. I'd seen the group of people leave, and I pinched this jumper. I did that about 5 years ago, maybe. Really epic stuff. It's an Abercrombie and Fitch jumper. DMs. I gave him some polite pushback on Twitter. He acted like a girl. He acted like a girl and kept screaming. Where is your goddamn rational analysis about the man acting like a girl, leaking DMs? He's acting like a girl, not a woman, a girl. Like, this stuff is nasty.
Uh-oh. That's not very directional on you, Barbie. When this was brought up in her debate with Kuihman, she called me a stalker who's been obsessed with her for months.
And then you started threatening Ollie, the Omnipooner.
Ollie, oh god. Okay, this is another example of the bad faith. This is a perfect example. So with this nut job who has done nothing but stalk me for months now and obsess about this, what do I say to him?
Something which was absolutely not true at that time. I'm currently filming this.
Look, everyone has pinched a jumper at some point in life. Everyone has pinched a jumper or a jacket. Okay, I've done it a couple of times personally. I haven't done it in many years. Okay, this was a very much a sort of like 15 to 20 age range behavior. But everyone's done this. Okay, don't even lie. Don't front. Don't be fronting.
Yeah, this is exactly how we did it in 2016. I still have the map right here. Judging by this blueprint, I should be somewhere between the Porsche garage and the sex dungeon. I can't believe she hasn't gotten this fixed yet. Anyway, let me tell you about Dollcast.
You wouldn't piss in a policeman's helmet.
To understand Dollcast, you first have to understand Brianna Wu. Brianna Wu is an expired political socialite who has chronically lied about who she is pretty much her entire life. Most well known for her experience in Gamergate, Brianna has lied about everything from being a cybersecurity expert to creating a successful video game or to having a journalism degree. She has involved herself in politics on numerous occasions, whether it was canvassing for people down in her home state or running for Congress herself. She's a leader of Rebellion PAC, has worked with Progressive Victory, and has done plenty of trans advocacy. This advocacy included befriending the scammer and drug addict Keffals, going so far as to make light of the allegations that Keffals was using the donation money for drugs. A fact which was later on confirmed. She has a never-ending laundry list of things she has flip-flopped and contradicted herself on, and to reiterate them here would make this an entirely different piece of content. I will link 2 videos down below, which outline more of Brianna's past antics.
Great video, that top one, I gotta say.
She's joined this developing posse of useless, glupshido-centrist liberals, featuring milquetoast retards such as Brad Palumbo, whose entire shtick is being the normal gay. That's not a bad faith interpretation.
Queer-affiliated media? Dude, well, there's a lot of queer-affiliated media channels, right? Liquid Sonic messaged me the other day. He was asking me for this Aiden Paladin thing. And like that night, I pulled up, what was I looking at on stream? I was watching that Gilded Pooh thing about SFO and Aiden Paladin. And he messages me and he's like, I just went on the record, I've been working on an SFO video for the past week before I get any Rob's Media allegations. Just opened the stream and saw Aiden/SFO content and my heart sunk.
By the way, he literally puts normal gay in his titles. My heckin' snowflake-arinos? In fact, Brianna's new show, Dollcast, is a podcast hosted by her and 3 other trans women with the hopes of representing normal trans women.
I want us to have a smarter conversation.
It's because, guys, listen, you can get many reasons it could be. I don't think it's, I don't think there's anything, you know, there's no clout to be gained here. No one can start a career from pandering to me. I think my points are just that good. I don't know about you guys, but I think my points and arguments are just that good that everyone's just like, whoa, yeah. Why I make a video about this person? Those are the points and arguments I need. That's the points and arguments and the attacks that's the epic stuff, okay? That's what I think is going on here, guys, okay?
I think we can have a smarter conversation about trans issues is a show I'm announcing today called Dollcast. I am making this show with my good friends Kelly Cadigan, Taff, and Skylar Booker. These are all amazing women. I am honored to call all of them friends. We all have a really wide variety of perspectives on trans issues, but here's what we have in common. We transitioned not to become political activists, but to integrate as women.
Integrating is code for being normal. They're the normal trans people, and we're the weird ones. Brianna believes that...
Dude, it's just like, so the whole doll thing is just so absurd. It is like... You can't do the whole doll thing and claim to be a normal trans person because the doll thing is like inherently very AGP and fetishistic. I'm sorry. It's just like inherently very AGP, very fetishistic, very strange. So you can't be like the normal woman trans person if you're doing that. Sorry. Doll is like I don't know, it's like bimbo for trans people, I guess. That's the vibe of it. It's like bimbo for trans people.
If you are a trans woman who wants to integrate into society, you have nowhere to go. Except, of course, the society you're trying to integrate into, but that doesn't count, apparently. The price to enter the trans community nowadays requires you to subscribe to a bunch of fringe leftist politics and agree to never challenge the mob.
If you are a trans woman today who is interested in integration the same way I was, I don't think you really have a place to go in 2024. I think that the price of just entering the trans club is subscribing to a bunch of fringe politics and agreeing to never challenge the mob. And I think because all of us go through this experience and come to different conclusions, I think invariably the trans community of today, it takes its turn abusing us.
You just can't say anything anymore without some fringe, mob-minded lefty beating you in a parking lot. I mean, you just can't say anything anymore if you're normal. Because of the mob. Like you have one disagreement and they'll cancel. Like you just can't speak and you're always being silent by the mob. Well, thanks to the mob, you just can't free speech anymore. You can't talk anymore without being gunned down in the street by the mob. It's the mob, I tell you, boxing innocent trans women into an ideology that you challenge the
Hey, this is good. This is a good bit. That's a good bit.
Here are a few examples of Brianna challenging the mob by spreading blatant lies. She's lied about testosterone weakening your pelvic muscles, causing incontinence, aka making you piss yourself. There are risks to taking testosterone. This particular risk, however, is actually associated with estrogen. She has told people that trans men can avoid getting pregnant by taking testosterone. Testosterone doesn't work like that. If you're a biological female taking testosterone, you can still get pregnant. Now, it can be more difficult, but that doesn't mean you start going at it raw just because you're on testosterone. Maybe leave the uterus talk to people who have them, Brianna. She has claimed on multiple occasions that trans men are the largest group of people in the community.
This new cohort of female to male transsexuals is actually very, very new. And I don't know if people know this. They've actually replaced us in massive numbers.
While the number of biological females...
Yeah, I don't think that there are... I'm pretty sure there are more... I could be wrong. I think there are more MTFs than FTMs. I think women more commonly do the whole non-binary, like gender fluid, trans mask thing. But there aren't that many FTMs, I don't think.
Females currently transitioning is absolutely something warranting further research. Non-binary people, trans women...
Yeah. Trans non-binary, 40%. Trans woman, 22%. Transgender non-conforming, 22%. So that's 62%, really. 12% trans man.
and gender non-conforming people all outnumber trans men, who are only about 12% of the population as of 2022. Crazy how the only group that requires some level of masculinity is also the least popular one. Maybe we should be overrunning the community, actually. I mean, look where you people have gotten us. Saying all this to say that even though everyone knows Brianna is a liar, the extent to which she's willing to lie is pretty astounding, considering that she uses the criticism and backlash she gets from her statements as proof that she's a victim of the trans mob. She's spreading blatant misinformation to smear and malign other parts of the trans community. But you're the one who doesn't want to have a reasonable conversation. You're the ideologue if you disagree with her. She's constantly baiting people into canceling her. And I'm not the only one who's noticed this, by the way.
But nowadays, it's all about how she's going to get cancelled by trans Twitter. She almost sounds like a hack comedian doing a podcast tour the way she is so obsessed with talking about this.
So, look, this is going to get me canceled by trans Twitter. You know, if trans Twitter sees this, they're going to get really angry at me, but it's the truth. I think, oh boy, I'm ready to get canceled. Let's do it. Let's say something spicy. And today, we are Gamer.
You don't think you're getting cancelled. You don't even think this. She doesn't even think this. She doesn't even think she's getting... Like, you know you can't get cancelled. You know that's not how it works. So I'm saying... This is something I was actually thinking about the other day. I don't know... I think I've stolen this from someone. So if anyone knows who was talking about this and who said this, remind me. It is absolutely... People need to stop when it comes to... rape allegations and sexual assault allegations, sort of like off to the side from this. People need to stop using the argument, destroying a guy's life over this. It never destroys anyone's life. When was the last time it destroyed someone's life? If you've got an online career, it doesn't destroy your life. You can rape. You can rape and get away with it. It's actually that easy. You actually can just rape, and no one will really care. You won't lose a viewer. Just look at Destiny. Look at Vosh. You can do whatever you want. You won't lose a single viewer. As long as you don't, like, you know, spaz out about it. That's the reality, though. So it's time to stop pretending that... Thank you, Liberal Chad, for the 5 memberships. So, while, like, defamation is bad, obviously, like, if someone says a false statement about someone, that's obviously bad and damaging on its own. The fact that false statement might be believed to any extent is damaging. But when there's cases where a girl is, say, cancelling a guy for something that happened, but maybe we don't think is worth cancelling for, it's time to stop pretending that she's destroying his life. Only he can destroy his life from that. That's not... Like, it doesn't actually ever have an effect. I don't know who it has had an effect on. Harry Sisson, for instance. Harry Sisson, he lost Dean. Dean and Parker and all these retards decided to ditch, basically. But he can carry on his career entirely. And like, barely anyone else is going to give a fuck. His life isn't destroyed in any way. That's delusional. It's the same for like so many content creators. So many people have been through allegations and shit.
Today, trans Twitter is Gamergate.
And that's really it for these podcasts. There is very little of any value.
Thank you, Liquid Sonic. Just remember, guys, rule number 1 of being a grifter. Never cite your beliefs or opinions. Only cite the backlash you got for whatever you said. You would be shocked at how effective this is on normies. Like, that type of shit is everywhere. But it's especially insidious when you lie and spread misinformation like this, considering there is very little pushback anyone can give without being labeled as a fringe leftist. It's the exact same thing the actual fringe leftists do when they label you as a Nazi or a Zionist for the pushback you give them. Except instead of Nazi or Zionist, you just call them a fringe lefty. But hey, maybe that's just my female coded behavior showing. Again. If you can't tell, this really annoys me. That being said, despite it being annoying and morally wrong, I ain't worried because these people are so unserious. And the only proof you need is Dollcast. The first question you'd want to ask yourself is, who is Dollcast for? I don't know. Good question. I don't think anybody knows. Like, okay, the theme is clearly pink, girly, you have the word doll in there, it's very feminine coded, maybe you're trying to build a bridge with a broader cis female audience? Normal video of women talking fashion, except the part about hiding your penis. And embarrassingly girly 25 minutes talking hair. Wait, what's so embarrassing about that? Chasers. How do trans women feel about them? Well, I was gonna ask about tucking. Do women like this shit? Okay, so maybe this podcast isn't for cis women. Maybe it's not for cis-
Seriously, who is this for? That is such a good question. Who is that for? It's like exclusively for trans people. But like exclusively for trans people who already agree with you. Like it's trans people that are already on board with basically everything Brianna Wu thinks.
Cis people at all. Is this podcast for trans people? Well, not all of them. Maybe not even most of them. As it turns out, most trans people, including trans women, don't fuck with people who talk this much about their misery while antagonizing the rest of the community. An hour and 18 minutes of trans women being ridiculously real.
I guess I don't like regret my transition. I just kind of wish I was born a girl because I just kind of feel like this shit just in general.
Yeah. I feel that to my bones. Like, but at the same time, like there is a melancholy to all 4 of us that, I mean, I really love spending time with you guys because I feel like the value of the show is I get to hang with like 3 people that understand that every single week.
Because I don't know, the trans community, it can really enforce a kind of like social code on you. Like you have to believe certain things in order to like interact with a lot of trans people.
Did you see today Ethan brought Noah Sampson's ex-friends with benefits to say that he was a fuckboy as a response to the video? It was so lame. I thought it was going to be a rape allegation. I thought it was going to be a rape allegation. Was it not?
And that is, you know, destructive and toxic in its own way.
I don't know, you go out and interact in the real world. I feel like for me, I'm kind of just like trapped in the castle or like my shitty little house, and I just deal with...
What is the allegation? Because someone tell you, someone link in Discord.
Like, I don't know, just negative shit all day. I feel like I'm addicted to Twitter and social media, and I just feel like my life is about creating like porn and like, I don't know. As I'm getting older, I just don't even feel like I have as much sex appeal as I once did, and it's just... And then like Twitter just makes me more aware of like insecurities that I've never even like thought about before, and it just...
There is a sadness that is just, and maybe it's just our personalities are different, but there is a melancholy.
He lied about not being with anyone else so he could have unprotected sex with her. Wow.
Right. There, and a pain that just does not go away. There is a
Raw Dog Samson
challenge of making peace with things like that you can't change. Like, I cannot change how tall I am.
And this is not just one episode. This is a common theme among their content.
It's just we're going to win in the end. It's going to help.
I agree we're going to win. I do want to ask you not to underestimate like the amount of personal toll some of this stuff takes on me. Like, I've been around the internet for a while and I'm used to death threats and rape threats. Like, if you guys look at the text message chain the night after this happened, you're getting text messages at 4 in the morning that are, hey, I stayed up all night working on A, B, C, and D. And it's because I could not sleep because like every piece of social media I had was on fire. Nut jobs are emailing me. I'm having to take down comments on our YouTube channel because it is just so over the line.
And if it's not that, it's weird anecdotes like this.
One of my favorite things about transition isn't the ladies. It's like when I was, so I left, I had an early morning hit, and then I went straight over to LAX. My makeup is done. I've gotten dressed really well. I'm just marching to the airport. I've got gorgeous shoes on, gorgeous dress, and guys are looking at me. And I just love like looking at them back and giving them a smile. So, you know, I'm married, but I'm not done.
Oh my God. This is the podcast for normal trans people, representing normal trans people, trying to appeal to normal trans people and normal people. All of this is super normal. Normal. I love it. If that wasn't enough, the editing is dog shit. The channel makes no sense. They don't even make thumbnails. Their shit looks like a Zoom call designed by a bored 8-year-old girl. In some episodes, they just sit there awkwardly while the intro plays.
To Dollcast with Kelly Cadigan.
I know you guys are going to tell me I'm crazy, but I think all gay men would benefit from a gender transition.
Brianna Wu.
Do you know who Brianna Wu is? It was people online. I said you have Brianna Wu, so I don't remember who she is now.
Skylar Bogart.
I'm more confused on girls or boys would be a better fit for me, and when you're bisexual and you have the potential for either, you gotta parse that out a little bit.
And Taj Tough.
Having your story heard, having people empathize with you on that kind of political level, I think is really hard to do.
It's the Dollcast. Mostly normal women.
Hey there, welcome back to Dollcast.
Going through their content.
Dude, this is rough, man. This is so rough.
Confusing because they'll upload the entire call and title it Dollcast along with the episode number, but then they'll upload clips from that call as well, but not even in order. This video, Is Colin Wright the Antichrist, is a segment from the following video, India Willoughby is Attacking Us, which they uploaded after the segment. What? Like, why? This episode is titled Brad Palumbo Wouldn't Date F2Ms, but if you actually want to see them talk to Brad Palumbo, you have to get through 2 other guests first. Brad isn't even in the thumbnail. Like, why?
Dude.
Why wouldn't you just upload each guest feature as its own video? That would be so much better for the channel. It makes no sense, and it just adds to my confusion as to who the fuck they're marketing this show for. Unless they're not really thinking about who it's for at all, which is probably the case.
Probably true.
There's got to be a reckoning, and I'm really proud that we are launching Dollcast in this moment, because sanity has got to come back to the conversation, and I think we're really pioneering that.
I feel like we've seen a couple cultural milestones, particularly with the trans topics, that are like so detrimental, but are kind of what I view as like outgrowths of the lack of policing that the left has done for themselves.
And to just take this maximalist safe position, we don't agree on other things in progressivism, it has never affected our friendship.
Dude, the filters are crazy.
And we've gotten to a place where people think that if you talk to the right wing, that's immoral.
She looks like a cartoon character here,
this
dude.
Maximalist safe position. We don't.
She's fucking cell shaded. She's fucking cell shaded. Fucking Kazan boss just spawned. Right, this bitch is cell shaded. Right. I was about to make horrible jokes about being a Borderlands boss and shooting, but
agree on other things in progressivism, it has never affected our friendship.
And we've gotten to a place where people think that if you talk to the right wing, that's immoral or fascist or racist or something along those lines. This country can't survive if we're not willing to talk to one another.
There's a lot of people that are kind of just over it when it comes to the whole wokeism thing. That's what we're running dry of, because that's what woke ideology.
Now that you have face cam, maybe Brianna will have another convo with you. Yeah, maybe I'll be on Wick panels too. You know, the world's my oyster really fast here.
Sort of drained from us. Honestly, there seems to be this psychological fragility that just scares me a little bit.
But I think that's like so necessary that some people are able to do that just to turn down the temperature and actually get to like a more reasonable conversation.
It brings me back to John Stuart Mill, who makes that statement about one who only knows their side knows little of that. That's where I see a lot of red flags with the trans ideology stuff kind of going off the rails.
I feel so strongly that conversations with people, I don't want to say on the other side, but conversations with people that have...
Doesn't Brianna look like skull emoji, or am I wrong?
Yeah, she looks like Mr. Bones. Mrs. Bones. Mrs. Bones.
Questions or a different idea about policy, it is so necessary. Like this war where we are just screaming at each other and each side has its extremists, it's not serving the public policy conversation.
Well, is there such a thing as like having too open a mind? Like this is kind of where I feel like things sort of went with the left, at least from my viewpoint. As
yeah,
like, you know,
Brianna would be like, yeah, I can't do the skeletal laugh.
Community is like, it feels like it's gone off the rails.
Like all five of us agree that this maximalist view on trans issues, this isn't what we want from the Democratic Party.
Where's the skeletal laugh? I need it now. We need it quickly.
Actually check out Dollcast and like listen, and they're like, oh, actually, yeah, you know what? Her opinions are like pretty reasonable.
That's it. You just saw every single Dollcast episode ever. These people fundamentally misunderstand what being reasonable actually means. Brianna specifically talks about how she made this show for reasonable dialogue, but they put zero effort in actually demonstrating this. Once again, trans people claiming to be something and then
look like a young Howard Stern. Is that an anti-Semitic reference?
Zero effort into presenting themselves as that thing. If you want to prove to people that you're reasonable, you have to say reasonable things. You know what's unreasonable?
The difficulty is that while it's easy to look back in hindsight to say that, like, you know, oh, I'm somebody who would have benefited from this, it's really, really difficult and really, really inaccurate to have a, you know, a pool of 11, 12-year-olds and be able to predict with really, really high accuracy which ones are going to be those ones that are happy with it through the rest of their lives.
Do you really think so, Colin? Because if you go and look at the DSM standards, like it's been lowered to 2 out of 6 criteria, 2 out of 6, which is just insane to me. And like if you go read the standards from 1998, we'll put it in the show notes, it was such a higher standard. So I actually think like we do know a lot about what boys that want to be girls look like. Someone that has 2 out of 6 criteria, do not support them transitioning as a minor. If someone's got 6 out of 6 and they're going through a major depressive episode and they have an eating disorder because they're trying to make themselves thin because they're terrified of, like, you know, masculinizing, and, you know, they've got suicidal ideation, I think symptomology indicates treatment. And to me, that is a much stronger argument for intervention at that point.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it depends where we want to draw a line.
Novel stuff to say there. Really novel stuff. If someone's life is being impacted and they have a lot of the criteria of a mental illness, they should get the treatment for that mental illness. Wow, we really needed all those extra words, all that extra fluff to say that, didn't we, Brianna? That requires a lot of expertise to come to that conclusion.
Line on, you know, how much bycatch collateral damage are we willing to accept in here? How many kids are we willing to unnecessarily and wrongfully transition that would make them sterile in order to capture all the individuals who would receive a benefit?
Like, let's say, I'll be very generous and say it is 5 trans kids out of 100 regret it. It's not that, as best as I can tell.
It's gaslighting. She's making out that doctors are handing out e-pills to kids for wearing pink. That's not true, obviously. There is a I think there is legitimate concern around, like, a lot of the trans health stuff, because, like, a lot of it is pretty ideologically captured, I think. Like, what is it, WPATH or whatever? that Giga, I think, ideologically captured on basically the There's a lot of people that basically just think that, oh, if you say you're trans, you're trans, and that is influenced a lot of the trans health organizations, because the only people that wanted to be in those positions were the people of that ideology. So they're the ones that have done the work to do the fucking, you know, the psychology and then the gender studies degree on the side and all this shit to get into those positions. I think that seems to be what's happened to me, is basically that everyone that work, a lot of people that work in trans healthcare are of that ideology because those are the only people that want to do it. And so I think there are problems with basically safeguards being plowed through or dismantled to rush a lot of this stuff through. But it's not anywhere near what Brianna Wu makes it out to be, or what right-wingers make it out to be. It isn't like you just, you know, a kid just walks into a fucking doctor's and they hand a message, and that's obviously not true.
Like male to female trans kids. But why is that 5 children who may regret it, which is a very high number, more important than the 95 that are going to feel like their lives are better? Because I think that number, if you reversed it, how many of those children are going to feel like their lives are worse from not transitioning? Like, why does one count? Why do trans lives not matter and the cis lives do?
Brianna openly supports clinically feminizing little boys. There's no other way to put it. That's what she supports. And she does not give a single reasonable argument in favor of this throughout the entire debate. All she does is bargain with the guy to try and get him to change his standards for what he thinks is appropriate gender-affirming treatment for minors, which in this guy's case is none.
For a total ban on this, 100%. No exceptions. Parents do not have the right to, they've got a child, major depressive episode, suicidal ideation, has been saying they want to be a girl since they're...
Yeah, this is the fundamental thing with Brianna Wu's strategy here, is it's just inherently dishonest, because it's basically saying, like, she builds up a straw man of what the super far end of trans healthcare and trans people is, where it's like, oh, these people are crazy. If a kid wears pink, they want to give him estrogen. So she builds up that on one end. Then she says, I'm the reasonable one. I'm the reasonable one. I only think some kids should be medically transitioned. And then she takes that to a conservative, and she basically uses that. She uses that on the end here to be like, look how terrible those people are. Look how terrible those people are. I'm more reasonable. So you can agree with me, surely. You can agree with me, surely. It's just like a manipulation tactic. It's not like she's actually got like a good, compelling argument. It's just like a pure manipulation tactic.
They hit puberty, they're terrified, their body is becoming...
Yeah, meet me in the middle, otherwise you're unreasonable. Exactly, yeah.
You want a total ban in that case.
For minors, I don't think the evidence is in there that shows that this is a reliable... will reliably improve their lives in the long run.
We've got Kelly and Taff here today.
Clink studied 34 individuals aged 22 years who had all been treated with puberty blockers and subsequently given cross-sex hormones. Their bones at age 22 were of less density than those of their peers. This shows that there's clearly a potential increased risk of osteoporosis and fractures later in life. The decision to transition has significant lasting implications, some of which adolescents and young adults may not be ready to evaluate on their own. Cross-sex hormones may have long-term effects, including potential impairment of future reproductive functioning. Estrogen therapy for transgender women, male to female, can lead to irreversible damage by decreasing sperm production, which can lead to azoospermia. Infertility is highly likely when taking puberty blockers is followed by cross-sex hormones. Youths who graduate from pubertal suppression at Tanner stage 2 to cross-sex hormones will be rendered infertile without any possibility of having genetic offspring in the future because they will lack gonadal tissue and gametes.
I'm behind, but you stole the we got to stop saying these men's lives are being destroyed from Brittany Simon. Either before or after her debate with Lyrics, referring to George, Princess Emoji.
It was someone more recent. It wasn't Brittany Simon. It was way more recent. It was like within the last week I heard someone say something like that. It was not Brittany Simon.
For chiropreservation.
She might have said
Embarking on puberty blockers therefore means the individual will likely become infertile. The question is whether a child being counseled about puberty blockers can genuinely understand the implications of being infertile and give informed...
Children aren't put on cross-sex hormones. Is that true? I think sometimes there are cross-sex hormones given to under 18s. I think that does happen.
Consent. The treatment of gender dysphoria in child with hormones effectively amounts to mass experimentation on and sterilization of youth who are cognitively incapable of providing informed consent. Blocking puberty in boys causes underdevelopment of genitalia. This in turn makes subsequent vaginoplasty, the surgical formation of an artificial vagina, more complicated. In light of these facts, the statement that puberty blockers are reversible sounds, at the very least, misleading. The child who takes puberty blockers will almost certainly have life-changing and irreversible physical side effects, which could be greatly regretted in the future.
Every single child who was, or adolescent who was truly...
This is true, and people will just lie about puberty blockers straight up and say they're totally reversible, and it's just like, it's just not true.
Blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about zero. These are just assigned male at birth, so trans feminine, and it's because they never in their lives are exposed to testosterone.
Fuck yeah! Pump my child full of this shit right now! This is what Brianna Wu thinks is a reasonable position, and the only argument she has in favor of this is guilt trips and trauma dumping. She's fully willing to ignore all of these risks that she would be—
Dude. I've just a hilarious Twitter interaction. Holy fuck. Guys. Dude. So, Harry Sisson is at Barstool Sports. Thanks to Harry Sisson for stopping by. I got to ask him about his biggest Barstool supporter, was shocked by his answer. Not really relevant, we don't really care about the video. Fuck it, we'll watch it anyway.
Harry, thanks for commenting to Barstool Sports. Before you go, do you have any favorite Barstool creators?
Yeah, actually, there's this guy named Jersey Jerry, who is one of my biggest supporters, one of my earliest supporters. Yeah. Wait. He messages me all the time talking about how great my videos are and how much he agrees with me. And actually, on election night, he sent me a very supportive text message. I really appreciate that.
Wow, that's kind of shocking, but that's awesome. Like, we love to hear that. Shout out Jersey Jerry!
Unfortunately, we are actually on Team Harry now. I hate to update you guys on this. We have, unfortunately, switched to Team Harry. Because Harry is surviving. Harry has made the decision to carry on and survive with his career. Dean and Parker have disavowed. So now Harry needs our help to end their careers. To end Dean and Parker's careers. Harry needs all of our energy to spirit bomb Dean Withers. Turn him to fucking dust. Turn Dean Withers to fucking dust with a spirit bomb. So we're Team Harry now, unfortunately. So Alex Stein replies to this tweet. Dave literally uninvited me from his podcast after he asked me to come on because I'm too political for Barstool. I guess if I was a libtard like Harry, he wouldn't have cancelled my appearance on his show. And this Jack Mack guy, the Barstool guy, replies, I'd gladly invite you, like I have other conservative influencers, Johnny Mack and Brett Cooper, but that ship sailed when you enter their office unlawfully with a fake homeless man in underwear. Alex Stein says, I thought Barstool had a sense of humour. I guess I was wrong about that one. So based. So you cancelled me for being too political. No, we cancelled you because you trespassed with a fake homeless man in his underwear. Oh, I thought you liked jokes. I love Alex Stein, man. I love Alex Stein. I can't help it.
Subjecting little boys to, but she'll lie about shit on Twitter regarding other groups of trans people as a way to deflect.
Really frustrated with the way the Majority Report, you have a bunch of cis people on this show that have these maximalist positions on every single part of this. You've got Emma, who is out here pushing, like, she doesn't have to live the reality of any of the extreme positions she's putting out there. If she says trans women should be in sports, period, if she says non-binary people need to go in the bathroom, there are no restrictions, no medical pathway, dismantle everything in sight, she doesn't have to live with any of the complications of that.
What health complications will Brianna have to live with if a child is put on puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones and then later on regrets it? What complications will Brianna have to live with if a male is never able to reach orgasm again because of the healthcare she advocated for? Right, that's right, sorry. None. But hey, as long as she keeps collecting that sweet attention that she so desperately craves, who gives a fuck? Nobody cares how many times you guys get canceled or attacked by what you consider the fringe. Constantly invoking the fringe, or the left, or the ideologues, or the unreasonable trans mob, or whatever other variation you can come up with, doesn't change the fact that you are advocating for shit the majority of people on Earth will find insane. Nobody gives a fuck what other trans people are saying about you when you are the one with a platform, meaning what you say carries infinitely more weight than the literal humegalols you constantly milk for more victim points. You're rich, you have a platform, and you have influence. If you're still frustrated with having a lack of voice after all that, then that's 100 billion% a skill issue, and you should probably give it up. You can't just...
There's been laws banning trans athletes in state where there's one trans athlete. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Insist that you're reasonable because
it's just like the most ridiculous. It's like a base level. Like, the only reason it became a thing is because people were so desperate to defend it. It's just obvious that, you know, you shouldn't... The trans... Any, like, at least high school stuff, anything at that point, you shouldn't mix genders. That's just obvious to most people. And the only reason it's become a thing is because there were enough Democrats willing to argue with it, or enough lefties willing to argue with it, that it managed to pick up steam. Because there's like almost nobody that this applies to. It's like literally... Like, it's such a tiny percentage of the population. Even less of a percentage when you get younger. And then you're looking for the ones that want to do sports as well. So, I mean... It's like, how many people is that? How many people is that?
Identify other shitheads in the community, only to cope when nobody listens to you because you suck. It doesn't matter how many
Kuihman, thoughts on people saying you're built like a trans athlete
when you are the one putting yourself in the spotlight, only to waste that spotlight by dying on the most unreasonable and optically catastrophic hills the trans community could possibly come up with. Not allowing you to change your gender markers on your birth certificate is part of a project to turn trans women into third-class citizens.
The purpose of a birth certificate is not a scientific document of what your sex was you were born with. It is your legal access to make life easier.
Right, stop. Stop the gay posting. Guys. Stop. Cut it out. No more gay posting. Thank you for the $2, Lumpy. Thank you.
Want us to integrate and to blend in, there are accommodations that we need along the way. So this entire project, in my view, it is to turn trans women into a third-class citizen and to make our lives harder.
Being called a man is apparently dehumanizing.
I think there's a political project by J.K. Rowling and her TERF friends to call us men. And I don't think it's about biology. I think it is to dehumanize us.
I totally get having a problem with misgendering. That's not the primary issue I have. Calling half the population subhuman,
the egg enjoyers in chat are getting absolutely fucking slaughtered by Quella right now. Thank God. Thank God. Delete groomers. Get groomers out. Trans groomers out.
The detransition rate in FTMs is also just high because being a man sucks. This definitely seems like a level-headed, reasonable person, no baggage. I would definitely trust this person to know what's best for little boys. Oh, and left-handedness is a social contagion. Don't forget that banger. Breaking. Brianna Wu just said something that upset trans Twitter.
No way, dude! Holy fuck!
These are not logical thought patterns. This is purely feelings-based rhetoric, with lamentations about being cancelled sprinkled in, so that the synapses of other mid-witted, self-hating trans people light up, because the woke would totally hate them if they listened to this. Just like my parents totally hated me when I went to the back of Spencer's that one time. And I'm sorry, but people on the outside looking in are not going to respect you more because you stepped on the rest of the community as a way to get a leg up in the clout game. Even
I don't have a lot to say about this, because it really just is slaughtering this podcast just being like a totally dog shit idea that doesn't appeal to anyone, and pointing out that Brianna Wu, no matter how much she tries to be a pick-me, no one's ever gonna like her. Which is just, I mean, it's all pretty obvious, but I mean, it's good seeing it picked apart from this shit podcast.
The normal, straight, cis people who don't go near LGBT topics are going to be able to spot that type of behavior from a mile away. Here's a little rule to remember. A truly reasonable person would recognize in advance that if they're about to give a controversial opinion, the consequences of that will likely be backlash. A truly reasonable person would give their opinion and then take the heat in stride. A reasonable person would not give their opinion and then milk the backlash to further their own personal victimhood narrative. That's not reasonable, that's slimy and clout hungry. This show is about the closest you can get to a dick riding orgy without taking your clothes off. A significant portion of this podcast seems to be spent glazing each other and their guests.
I'm thrilled to be here with my amazing co-hosts, ready to dive into it all. First up, let me introduce the fabulous ladies joining me today.
You just did introduce them with your smoke alarm ass intro, but okay, go off.
So to start, we've got Brianna Wu. Bri, I don't know how you do it, but you're the only one who could predict a twist before it actually happens.
Wow. What does that mean? Predict a twist?
It just means you're good at...
You can't figure that one out? That's really baffling stuff. That's concerning.
Expecting the unexpected.
There we go. I guess it's my spider sense.
Then we've got Kelly Cadigan, who brings the...
What was that laugh?
A twist?
It just means you're good at expecting the unexpected.
There we go. I guess it's my spider sense.
Then we've got Kelly Cadigan, who brings the heat with every opinion she's got. Kelly, you're like an espresso shot. You keep us all awake and on our toes.
Wow. I guess I'm glad. I try to bring the scoop and the heat. So.
And finally, we have Taj, whose creativity brings a whole new vibe to the show. Taf, I'm pretty sure you could write a novel about just putting together an outfit.
She could.
Yeah, Taj. Fuck you. Yapping all the time.
So, and now, we're excited.
Okay. Thank you for the $5, Mad Joe. Chud totally watches that podcast. Probably. I think Chud enjoys content like this. He likes the episode about whether trans women like chasers. He likes the episodes about tucking.
To welcome our special guest to the show, Richard Hanania. Richard is the author of several thought-provoking books, including Public Choice Theory and the Illusion of Grand Strategy, and The Origins of Woke.
Richard Hanania is such a fucking weirdo, man. I don't mind him. Like, he's a bit of a you know, ethnic nationalist, but I don't mind him that much. But he's such a fucking weirdo, dude. He is such a weirdo.
Choice theory.
Like, look at him, man. Look at him. Look at the face. It's so funny.
Illusion of Grand Strategy and The Origins of Woke. He's also known for his work on Elite Human Capital, or what we'll call EHC, which sounds fancy, but let's be real. Richard's probably just figuring out how to make us all feel bad for not reading enough.
I don't know if it's typical for...
Yeah, I saw his tweets with Ayla. Yep.
People to hog ride their guests this much when they make an appearance on their show, but I don't even think I've seen late night shows suck up this hard. It's becoming a pattern that I've noticed with low value content, where they spend an uncomfortable amount of time glazing their guests and the people they know. We saw the same thing with Not So Erudite.
Really, like Matt Binder genuinely is lovely.
These shows need value, they need substance, and if the only value or substance you have are the names you bring on the show, well then you're going to be spending a lot of time talking about that. Brianna especially is known for invoking names as a way to lend herself more value, credibility, whatever. Everyone she ever brings up is a very good friend of hers.
You know, a really good friend of mine is Cliff Blasinski, the guy that...
What? Dude, what am I hearing right now? A really good friend of mine's Cliff Blasinski. You're really good friends with Cliff Blasinski. Uh-huh.
Especially is known for invoking names as a way to lend herself more value, credibility, whatever. Everyone she ever brings up is a very good friend of hers.
You know, a really good friend.
I don't know. First of all, I don't believe that Brianna Wu is friends with Cliffy B. I do not believe that, first of all. Second of all, it's not really a brag to say you're friends with Cliffy B. Like, the last few games he made totally flopped, and he's left the gaming industry almost entirely, as far as I'm aware.
friend of mine is Cliff Bleszinski, the guy that made Gears of War. Just a fantastic guy. And I see his wife.
He made it, like she said, he's the guy, he's like the game director for Gears of War. And Lawbreakers. Anyone remember Lawbreakers? Lawbreakers was like a fast-paced arena shooter that came out a few years ago that totally flopped. It was like meant to be his big, Cliffy B's big new project, and it totally flopped. And he left the game industry after it. He did Bulletstorm as well, like Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm was actually good though, unfortunately. I'd say unfortunately, not really unfortunately. Fortunately, it was a good game. I like Bulletstorm.
Lauren, who's truly one of the most beautiful
I'm a cis
ever
girl.
seen in your entire life.
Wow.
And he was talking about like her struggles to form a career.
His last contribution to the game was Boss Key Studios. What did they make? Lawbreakers and then Radical Heights. And both of these blue. Oh yeah, I remember Radical Heights. Dude, this shit battle royale.
And another news.
I just shit rip off Fortnite. Alright, look, dude. This was released 2018. 2018. Dude. Everything looks so shit. And there was Lawbreakers as well. Lawbreakers, as far as I understand, was actually pretty good, but just did not catch. This is obviously way better. It was very Quake. It was like meant to be like an arena shooter like that. It's actually, you can play it again now, I think. It got shut down for a while.
I've been dropped.
Apparently this game's actually pretty fun. I can't find good gameplay of it, but yeah, apparently it's pretty fun.
On TikTok, and again,
well, that's the thing, Ralph. They followed trends for Radical Heights because this was unique. This one was unique. There aren't really a lot of arena shooters anymore, and there definitely aren't a lot of like fast-paced arena shooters that are like heavily movement focused. Like really since Quake and shit like that. There aren't Quake type games that people play right now. So this one was pretty unique, but totally failed anyway. If I need decent gameplay of this.
Prepare for combat. Enemy intercepted the battery. Enemy is charging the battery.
They only made that shit battle royale because this flopped and they had no money and they were trying to save their studio, I think. So they pumped out like a low effort battle royale to try and get money, but it didn't work.
The battery. Your side dropped the battery.
No way, this guy just walks up. This gameplay is shocking. Even like I say, this is shocking. I've never played it before.
Beautiful, beyond interesting, married to someone very famous, lovely personality. Like Lauren, I could not say a bad sentence about her.
There's a new person.
I happen to know a lot of famous people.
Yeah, it was like trying to compete with Overwatch. It was released as a full-price game. It was like too high skill ceiling, so new people were going on and getting raped by people who've been playing Quake for 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, there were loads of problems with it. But it seemed like an epic game.
So I know Kate, and I was honored. I reached out to her, and I'm like, oh my God, please say yes. We don't have another host. And she said yes, so here we are.
I think fame is a lot to put on me, but no, not so much.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a new person. Hello.
That's right. This is Kate. She's uber famous.
Thrilled to have a true powerhouse in progressive media joining us today. He's the founder of the Young Turks, a trailblazer in digital political commentary, and honestly, one of the most outspoken voices for change in America. He's a champion for progressive causes and a voice that refuses to back down in the fight for justice and equality. Please welcome the one and only Cenk Uygur.
Woo! Cenk, I wanted to ask you, when did you become an ultra-Zionist? Congratulations.
So first of all, thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Wonderful to see you all. And to Brianna's joke, I'm apparently both an ultra-Zionist and an anti-Semite. Far right.
It's true. It's true.
Wow.
You're also MAGA, as I understand it.
Their interview.
Is it crazy how we're all getting cancelled all the time? Isn't that so crazy how we're all getting cancelled all the time? Dude, I fucking hate it, man. Yeah, no shit. People on the other side of it politically, people who disagree with you, say crazy stuff about you online. Yes. I'm sick of this, man. I'm sick of it. Yes, when someone gets accused of a minor sexual indiscretion, TikTok retards think it's rape. Yes, when you give a slightly critical of Israel take, a bunch of insane Jewish people and insane Christian right people are going to say you're an anti-Semite. Yes, when you give a single take that affirms Israel and Israeli citizens' right to exist, everyone on the other side is going to call you a genocidal Zionist. Yes, that's the internet. Tensions are always pretty high. People have no investment in the conversation, and they can say whatever they want to you. Everyone deals with this. You're not special. You're not unique. It doesn't make you a free thinker. It doesn't mean you're like in the middle and you've actually got the ascended take because everyone hates you. No, that's just the internet. And you bitching about it is fucking annoying. Just like the endless bitching. All they've got going for them is, well, people really hate me online. That's all they've got.
Are terrible. Their guest choices, as well as the questions they ask, make no sense. The first thing Brianna asks Cenk to do in their interviews is talk about his feelings and emotions about being attacked by the fringe.
I've seen like a real integrity for standing up for trans rights for you for literally 20 years. And yet, you know, this fringe move of the our trans advocates have painted you out as this like supervillain over the last 5 years, which is so troubling to me. So I guess I wanted to ask you in a personal way, like, how has this been for you emotionally to have spent literally 20 years advocating for all of our civil rights and to be talked about like you're a villain? Does it make you just want to not talk about this issue at all? How does it make you and the rest of Young Turks feel?
Yeah. So, look, in the beginning, it was shell shock.
So, I want to get into some spicier topics, Richard. So, I want to ask, you seem like you have a real propensity for women with large body parts, and I just wanted to ask you.
There's a game called Old Men Kissing, Google it, on stream, ridiculous name, I know. But extremely addictive game to play.
Like, how retarded do you think Google old men kissing on stream? What? What do you think you're even trying there, Mad Joe? What do you think you're trying?
Do you feel like you got enough milk as a child?
Wow! Richard Hanania loves massive tits! Brianna Wu believes trans adults are gonna lose their medical rights in the next 4 years, but we need to talk about Richard Hanania's feral love for gigantic honkers. I need more intel on this stat. I'm so glad I finally found a podcast that just somehow magically knows what was at the forefront of my mind. More reasonable conversations and tits.
Do they really think that 77 million people that voted for Trump are all fascists, are all racist, all sexist? Like, I can't believe that their bubble is so thick that they can't see that's an insane and untenable position.
So much of this show is just a broken record. Wow, the left is going crazy. Wow, people are trying to make trans women look bad. Wow, nobody can talk anymore. Wow, it was so much better when nobody knew about us. Wow, isn't it crazy that people call us fascists for talking? Literally just for talking? They call us fascists just for talking? Wow, isn't it terrible how the Democrats are incompetent? I think I'm at my limit for how much of this I can take. As a trans myself, the only passing I will be doing after this is away, because I'll be honest, the show makes me want to kill myself. There are so many angles from every side of trans discourse that people can use to get offended. Literally every group of people can find beef with the trans community, and the trans community can find beef within itself too. And the discourse isn't going to change, because everybody is incentivized to find a pocket where they can get attention for perpetuating whatever narrative their pocket has decided to go with. As far as positive representation for normal trans people, I have very few thoughts on the matter. The reality is, most trans people aren't normal by modern standards, and I think we would be better off owning that. Some people will never like weirdness, and that's fine. We don't need to be liked by everyone. My ultimate hope would be that we can own up to the weirdness and accept that about ourselves so that we can get started on actually criticizing the behaviors in the trans community. The actual behaviors, not just vague weirdness. But Brianna, Kelly, Taff, and Sky are not these super special normal people. They have baggage and problems just like everyone else. And if there's anybody in the community that actually needs to be removed, it's people who cry about how hard their lives are, contribute nothing, and demand attention for the sake of their egos. Regardless if you have a piece of paper that officially says you have gender dysphoria and makes you truly trans. Regardless of if you pass or if you don't. I'll let you decide if the dolls fit that bill. As far as the show goes, it's total fucking slop and there's zero reason to engage with it or watch it at all. It's interesting in the same way studying a monkey in a lab might be interesting, and that it gives you a particularly good look at pseudo-intellectualism and fake open-mindedness in an age of the internet that will likely be gone in a couple of decades. And that's about all I can say on the topic. Please like, subscribe, comment below, and share the video.
Wow. Monkey, like Better Man?
Some people don't know the struggle.
Okay, let's not play any more of that. We don't need to play any more of that at all.